The Paranormal View. The Paranormal View. The Paranormal View. Time now for the Paranormal View. The Paranormal View on the Para X Radio Network with your host, Henry Foister, Craig Rupp, and Jeffrey Gould. The Paranormal View.
Welcome, everybody, to the Paranormal View right here on the Para X Radio Network. I want to welcome everybody for being here tonight. Looks like we have a large number here in the chat room. And if you're not with us in the chat room, you can do so by coming over to para-x.com and click on the live chat button at the top of the page, and you'll be in with all these wonderful people, and you'll be able to interact, and also you'll be able to send questions to Jeff, Craig, or myself for our guests tonight. So we hope you guys will have a great time tonight, and I want to thank all those wonderful people from listening from all around the world. Tonight we have a little bit of a different type of show. The reason for it is we have a new show that's on Para X on Monday nights at 10 o'clock. And the name of the show is called Emergency Encounters. What Dave has been doing is having an open casting call to find a host for the show. And tonight we're going to be talking with one of those who has applied and get some background and information on him and see what he thinks of the show. So we will be looking for questions from everyone out there tonight. Hope we get a lot of them. The show itself is created to interview medical, law enforcement, military, EMT, paramedics, doctors, nurses, etc. They will be telling their stories about how they experienced something paranormal in the course of their work. And the show will air on Monday night at 10 o'clock Eastern on the Parax Radio Network. So, with that, tonight I have as a guest Erick Bee will be talking with us tonight, and we want to give Erick Bee a nice welcome here to Parax.
Wow!
Welcome, Erick.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on Para X and on the Paranormal View. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. And tonight also I have with me, as always, Craig Rupp and Jeffrey Gould.
I am here as long as my microphone holds out.
Yes, last week...
you still having microphone trouble?
No,
I think I got it fixed, Jeffrey.
I think it's fixed, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
They just didn't have the right drivers loaded for it, so they've got all that straightened out, and he should be fine tonight.
See, this is what happens when when you're doing installations. You shouldn't use drunken drivers.
Right. Oh, Jeffrey is on tonight, isn't he?
Yes. Here we go.
Erick, I think the people out here would really like to know a little bit about you, what your background is, and where you live, and all the other good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you sort of like the Cliff Note version of it all.
Well, that's fine.
For business purposes, my radio name, I guess you can say, is Erick Bee. Born and bred in Boston, so I do park my car at Harvard. Let me just back up just a little bit. I grew up around Salem, Massachusetts, so sort of like the paranormal, the occult, and Wicca I literally lived right next door to Salem. So pretty much every weekend I was in Salem, hanging out with the witches. And so it was always, a real appeal to me in that particular field. I went to school here in Boston for clinical psychology because I really enjoyed understanding what made people tick. it's sort of like after college, I decided I wanted to become a therapist and help people, but life sort of threw me a curveball, and instead I went into the sheriff's department. So, so basically I worked with inmates that had mental illness. Also, how would you say? I guess you can say just very, very interesting people that you wouldn't want to meet out on the street. Worked in the mental health field, basically, in psychiatric hospitals where people were locked against their will because they were a danger to themselves or to others. So again, a nice way to meet a lot of very interesting people. And I basically got burnt out doing that about 5-6 years ago because just the violence level was just a little bit too much. And of course, getting married and having stepkids, I wanted to actually come home in one piece every night. So I just basically did a shift, and now I'm actually working in finance. So I put on a shirt and tie and work in a cube. So that's sort of like my educational background. And basically sort of like all the other hobbies and stuff, I've been involved in the paranormal probably for like the last 15 years. I've investigated in the Carolinas, in Virginia, and also all over New England. And I've sort of been like a rogue agent, I guess you can say, for investigating the paranormal. Basically just sort of tagging along with, many other teams. And so, yeah, I enjoy the paranormal. I also like photography. I've had some pictures published, which is pretty cool. And so currently I live in a town called Methuen, Massachusetts, which is up in the northeastern corner called Merrimack Valley here in Massachusetts. It's about 20 minutes from the ocean. Always have to be near the ocean. And that's about me. That's about it for me in a nutshell.
Well, that's not bad.
I was just curious, if you've gone all over New England, I guess you're also familiar with the works of H.P. Lovecraft?
Oh, yes. I have the entire collection on my bookshelf. Absolutely. A lot of his books, took place around Massachusetts as well as also in Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah. I spent a weekend in Providence at a science fiction convention, and in the program it points out how the roads go all over the place and lead nowhere and never feel that it's safe to cross the street here.
Mm-hmm. That's about right.
Yeah. Very labyrinthal, the way they laid everything out.
Yeah, I don't know what they were smoking when they sort of did that, yeah.
Well...
But anyway, I do have to say, just for sake, I am happily married. My wife is fantastic, and I have 2 great stepkids. My wife officially made me say that. So,
officially made you, huh?
No coercion there, I guess.
Well, like they say, I'm the captain of the ship, and I have my wife's permission to say so.
Her permission.
I guess that's why she's your first mate.
Absolutely.
Now, with a show such as this, that Dave's trying, which I think is going to be a great show, because it's going to deal a lot with, I don't want to say people that's non-believers, but they're going to probably really be skeptical, who may not believe in the paranormal, but they're going to have stories that's going to be paranormal. In order, if you was the host of this show, what's some of the ways that you would go about trying to find those people to be able to get them on the show with some of the paranormal things that they've done or seen?
Well, you sort of smashed the nail right on the head, is that you have people that just through their own training, let's say in law enforcement, I can personally speak to this, it's basically to observe and report and to basically look at things in an objective, investigative eye and not embellish or sort of, basically embellish or sort of make up stuff. Essentially you have to report the facts, and same thing if you work in the medical field. You're basically working with, strict scientific data, and that's it. You don't really stray into the gray area. So you have people just by training, the paranormal really doesn't fit in. But then you also have these people who are a very close-knit group. Me wearing a uniform in my days in the sheriff's department, I couldn't just sit there and go to my coworker, so to speak, and say, hey, I just saw a ghost, because I'd, frankly be laughed at and, thrown out of the squad room. So it is pretty tough, basically, to reach out and say, hey, tell me about your story. I believe you. I'm not here to belittle you. I'm not here to debunk your story. Allow me to basically tell your story in the best way possible. Just allow me sort of like to be that channel. You tell the story, you drive the story. Just sit back with me. It's basically a friendly chat. Like just we're sitting at a bar with having a couple of beers or whatever.
Right. How would you get the word out to all these people that you're looking for people with stories?
Well, I would say probably the best way to do it is you go to like various websites, that, like for instance for law enforcement, tons of forums and websites, and you sort of put the word out there, basically saying, I'm willing to listen to your story. I've worn the badge, so I can personally attest that you're safe with me. And then with like nurses and stuff, essentially you can sort of put it out there. Again, the internet is a fantastic tool because you can literally go worldwide in a matter of a second. And then also with military, again, going to like, for example, my wife and I, we were going to go over to the VFW this weekend, it being Memorial Day, just basically going through the various VFWs around the country and basically send it through their newsletter and their website saying, let's tell your story. And then in terms of the Spiritualist Church, I am a member of the Spiritualist Church, and so it's a nationwide, worldwide network of people that believe in sort of life after death. And you have people from all walks of life, whether you're military or just civilian, basically tapping that national network and saying, hey, you believe in the afterlife, but if you were wearing the badge or if you were in, let's say, the military, where that was sort of frowned upon, you can tell your story through me. Even if you want to use a pseudonym, you don't even have to give your real name, but you'll have a safe, encouraging, and legitimate platform to tell your story.
That is a great idea because the hospitals around here, I have gone to nurses who have, they have stories to tell, but unfortunately the hospital has a policy, so they're afraid to tell the story.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of stuff happens in hospitals, but they're afraid they're going to lose their jobs over it. So that's a great idea.
You're absolutely right. And the funniest thing is, as a paranormal investigator, most people say, "Oh, I got to go into a haunted cemetery because that's where all the bodies are." And I look at people who say that and says, "Well, you know that probably 95% of these people died in a hospital. So if anything, the most haunted places should be the hospital."
Hospital and churches. That's yeah.
And here's like a true story. Like I mentioned before, I work in a cube farm, basically in a giant corporate company, and I don't, so while I'm sitting there wearing a shirt and tie, I don't necessarily talk about my ghost hunting and stuff on the weekends. And so one week, like on a Monday, everyone around was saying, "So Eric, like what'd you do this weekend?" I said, "Well, drove up to the mountains with the wife and blah blah blah." And then I just sort of said, "And I did some ghost hunting. I'm kind of tired." And sort of like then it was almost like whack-a-mole. You saw everyone's head sort of like rise above the cubes, and it was like, "You did what?" I'm like, "I went ghost hunting." I'm like, "Are you serious? Like you have a college degree, you wear a shirt and tie. What are you doing ghost hunting?" I'm like, "Just like you see on TV. Well, sort of. That's what I do." And they looked and says, "You've got to be kidding me." And I'm like, "No, I'm dead serious." And so I told them about some of my experiences. Then all of a sudden, as everyone sort of had like a nervous laugh, then people started coming up to my cube and they're like, "Oh my God, I got to tell you this great story. Let me tell you about my story. Let me tell you about my experience." Now I have like a solid line of people sort of like take a number.
Right.
Of all the people in the office that want to tell me about. They want to tell me about their grandmother's house, or when I was a kid, this was my story. Now everyone feels comfortable coming by my cube to tell me about their story because they know I'm not going to laugh at them. They know I'm like, "Please pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, and tell me all about it."
Right.
So there's nothing to be ashamed about.
Well, now speaking of that, how did you get into the paranormal?
Well, like I mentioned before, growing up right outside of Salem. Oh, excuse me, I just swallowed an ice cube. Wow. Don't you hate that? You sort of get while you're talking, I'm sort of like trying to like sip a drink, and all of a sudden, bam, the ice cube just hit the back of the throat. That was awesome. This is professional. As I said before, like I grew up right outside of Salem, Massachusetts, so witchcraft and the occult was always in my blood. And my father, as well as his mother, had the gift of mediumship. My dad would have prophetic dreams and stuff. And so that was always open and talked about in my household. Now, my first paranormal experience I probably had when I was probably a teenager. We lived in this home that used to be farmland. And then after World War II, they sort of wiped it out and sort of made it, basically houses for troops returning back from the war that needed housing. So at some point, my parents needed a house. And my mom was at work one day and said, we're sort of house shopping. We're having a rough time. One of her coworkers said, "My mom just passed away, and the housing market up here in Boston is really rough. I can let you live in my mom's house, and we can give you a pretty good price on it." So of course my parents said, "Yeah, let's go." When we checked out the house, the woman had passed away in the house in the basement, and the way the house was situated is that the basement was sort of like on the ground floor in the front. If that sort of makes sense, it was like on a terraced like plot of land.
Right.
And so So the woman couldn't climb stairs. So basically what they did is they finished off the basement, turned it into an apartment with her hospital bed and all of her machines and stuff. So she could just walk out the side door of the basement, and right there would be the garage, so she can get into a car to go to a doctor's appointment. And I thought as a teenage kid, that's wicked creepy. I don't want to see like her, all the machines in the hospital bed. I'm like, get that crap out of here. I'm not coming near this place. Of course, my parents were like, shut up. It's cheap. We can afford it. You got to like it. I'm creeped out. I'm like, I don't really know. Well, anyway, so this one night, I stayed up wicked late. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. My parents already went to bed. And back in that day, because I'm 39 years old, so I can do remember the time when TV was not on 24 hours a day, when you actually had snow. So I wake up, and there's snow on TV. That's the only thing lighting the whole downstairs. We basically turned it into a living room. And I'm sitting there on the couch, and I hear this noise. It sounds like metal scraping on metal. You hear scrape, tap, tap, tap. Scrape, tap, tap, tap. And I'm like, what the bleep is that? And so I'm like, I'm listening. It's really loud. So I basically pop up my head. I'm thinking my mom somehow got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, probably to yell at me to go to bed. And there's no one there. I'm like, okay. So I get up. I go upstairs. My mom is sawing logs. Didn't think anything of it. So a few weeks go by. My parents asked me to get something out of one of the storage closets in the basement. And sure enough, as soon as I open up that door, right in the doorway is a walker, which belonged to that old lady that died in that house. And it seemed very odd because it was literally right in the doorway. I'm thinking, what's it doing there? Because we had already put all of our stuff there. So I picked it up to move it because I needed stuff that was in that closet. So when I picked it up and I put it on the carpet behind me, it made that tap-tap sound. It was actually the metal, aluminum, or whatever they make the frame of, tapping on the carpet of our downstairs. And I'm like, holy crap. So I basically tested it out. I'm holding on to this old lady's walker, which was, again, kind of creepy. And so I basically, as you pushed it along the carpet, that was basically the scraping noise, and then you heard tap, tap as you basically touched the back pegs and the front pegs down on the carpet. So I'm like, oh my God, was this old lady in spirit somehow walking around in her apartment? And so that day stuck to me like it was yesterday, and that basically got me hooked on studying the paranormal.
Now, Eric, when you were with law enforcement, did you have any experiences while doing that?
I wish I did, but I didn't, because I worked in inmate processing. So basically, I worked within the jail to make sure everyone got their picture taken, the free souvenir, got their prints rolled and stuff, and then they sort of made their way onto the magistrate to get their bond. So I didn't really have a chance to really have any paranormal experiences. They, like I said, met a lot of very interesting people. I guess working in the mental health field, although I did have a great experience, I worked at, sort of to protect the privacy of the place, a very well-known mental health facility up here in New England. I'll sort of leave it at that. Had a tunnel system underneath, so you could basically move patients as well as the staff amongst the building, especially up here in the New England winter. And so I was working an overnight shift at one of the lockdown units, trying to pick up some overtime. Now, mind you, in the overnight, it's basically nurses, there's like a couple doctors on call, the security staff, and then basically us, a clinician, and then some of the orderlies. So I had to get something from one of the storage lockers that were basically down in the basement. So, of course, I'm thinking, oh, dear God, I have to go down in that basement. It's just going to be me. My mind's already, going 90 miles an hour. So, sure enough, everyone kind of jokes and prods and says, yeah, the place is haunted. You don't want to be down in those tunnels because you're going to hear basically patients walking around and tapping you on the shoulder. So, of course, I'm like, all right, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it, because I was like the rookie. So, of course, they're going to send me. And so sure enough, I go downstairs. I'm in the corridor.
Whoops.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Let me check and see. Did he drop off? Eric, you still here?
Did you swallow another ice cube?
Said there's a problem with the call.
Yeah, I see the little...
Hold on. We're trying to get him back on. If for some reason Skype can't get him back on, I will hang up and call him back.
Wow, I'm going to be listening to his show. I'll tell you that right now. He's awesome so far. It's only been friggin' 20 minutes here. My goodness.
I hope he podcasts them.
Oh yeah.
He does on his website, which is, where did that go? Oh, hang on, let me bring it up.
What?
Are you back?
You guys lost me?
Yeah, we lost you for a
Hey,
few
there
minutes.
you are.
There
we
I am.
weren't sure whether or not you'd swallowed another ice cube or what.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm not going into like cardiac arrest on the floor. So what was the last thing you heard me say?
It was really rapid, so I was just listening to how fast and funny you are.
Okay. I know you mean that wholeheartedly, and you're not just trying to like throw a dart at me.
Oh, he did.
I know. I'm just teasing. Okay. So what was the last thing that you heard?
Ooh.
I don't.
Was tapping you on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something
you were
was
the
tapping
rookie
you.
going downstairs, and
Okay. So I'm in the basement in the hallways, and sure enough, basically I'm hearing the footsteps. Also, I hear a door close. I'm thinking it's my coworkers just trying to play tricks on me, and of course I'm in the basement by myself, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm swearing like a drunken sailor at whoever's playing tricks on me. So I go backwards to see who closed the door, and of course there's nobody. And I'm looking around up and down the hallway. There's nobody that could have closed the door and then ran for it. So I keep going, and again, I hear the shuffling of feet behind me. Then the door opens. And I'm like, oh, bleep. You can imagine sort of fill in the blank. And then it basically gets to the storage closet. I get my stuff. And then basically as I turn around and I start walking back to that same door that opened and closed, I got the tap on my shoulder, and I dropped all the crap that I had. Every paranormal investigator's had this experience, so you can sort of bear with me. But, I'm trying to be a clinician. I take care of people that are psychotic, so I should be able to sort of hold it together, but no. So that was an incredibly cool paranormal experience. Of course, my coworkers were just laughing themselves silly when I told them. They're like, "Oh yeah, the rookie got it. Good for him."
Usually when something like that happens to us, we have no recorders, no cameras running.
Of course, when all the good stuff happens, it's always when they say
Exactly.
Oh, look, it's just like when you watch TV. It's like, oh my God, look at that. Then the camera pans, and of course you've missed it.
Now with your background in the paranormal, have you been in a group, or are you in a group now, or you just go out on your own?
Well, like I said, I've been involved in the paranormal field for like the last 15 years. I've tagged along with tons of different groups, including members of the various shows, the families or the crews. Basically, the Taps family and the Ghost Adventure crew. And so right now I'm involved with a group called RTS Paranormal Investigations out of Wrentham, Massachusetts. I'm also a consultant / member of the New England Ghost Team.
Oh. Have you heard of the group called Ghost Soldiers?
Ghost Soldiers? I can't say I have.
Yeah, they do reenactments a lot, and they go around. They have a show here on Para X Vision, which is a part of the Para X Radio, and they put their show on Monday nights, and I believe it's 8 o'clock, I think. They do a great job. They do filming and everything, so they put on some real good shows with it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, they're from aren't they from up around New Jersey?
Pat's from Maryland, and Doug's from Jersey.
Right.
So Eric, what was the name of the first group you said? The RERT something?
I know the Bostonian accent kind of kills it. I'll try and sort of keep that bring it down a notch. It's RTS Paranormal Investigations out of Wrentham, Massachusetts. It's basically in southwestern Massachusetts. Yeah, and then the New England Ghost Team as well. Yeah. As a matter of fact, RTS, they're actually there tonight. I was not able to sort of tag along, but they are actually the first ghost hunting team ever to investigate the Salem jail in Salem, Massachusetts, where they basically kept people before they went for the witch trials.
Oh. Yeah, we saw. Is that the same kind of thing that they showed in the movie version of The Crucible, where they just sat there for like months sometimes awaiting the trial?
That would be the spot.
Oh.
Yeah, first paranormal team in history. I mean, all the other well-known groups, including the TV shows, have all asked to investigate, but they've been turned down.
Wow.
Yeah, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. So I'll be doing the evidence review. So at least I'm doing my part.
Now, how did you get to apply to try and be the host on this new show? what sparked your interest on that?
Well, I always look to sort of heighten what I do. Like I mentioned before, I sort of do a radio show. Already I've been on the air for 16 months, but again, who I do it for and the name of the show is really not relevant. And so Dave, I know, like I said, he was a guest about a year ago, so I sort of know Dave, and I linked into his Facebook page, obviously, oddly enough. And so I get all of his updates and stuff, for Para X and all the different shows and stuff. And so it was kind of funny because, he sent a little event or something saying, "Oh my God, we're going to start a new show, and it's called Emergency Encounters, and da 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 da. I'm looking for a host." And I'm like, "This is awesome. That's a great concept and a great idea." I said I should go for it. So I sent him an email. I said, "Dave, you remember me?" He's like, "Yeah, I do." I said, I would love to. I'm interested in actually hosting that show. That sounds phenomenal with my background. And sort of like what little talents I have in radio, and the fact that you probably can't shut me up is probably a really good thing. This would be like a perfect match, and this would totally rock. And so he basically said, "All right, send me a voice sample." I'm like, okay. So I basically just fired up Cool Edit and sent him off like a 20-second little promo, and he sent me back an email saying, "Okay, sounds great. I definitely remember the voice." And then he basically said, like I was telling you before we went live, he said. He sent me an email like 9:30, and he said, "Would you like to be on tomorrow night?" And so I said, "Okay." I'm thinking tomorrow night meaning
Sunday night?
Sunday.
Right.
I'm like, "Okay, yeah." I said, "Well, my other show wraps up at 8 o'clock." So I said, "Just give me a few minutes basically to get a cold drink, rest the voice, get some Chloroseptic, whatever I need. Let me take a potty break, and bam, I'll call in, tell me what you need." And then I'm looking at it, and I have like Google Mail, and it basically said 9:30, then it said 15 hours ago. And it was funny because I was talking with my wife this afternoon, and all of a sudden I had like an epiphany. I went, "Oh, bleep." I said, "Wait a minute, that's tonight." And I'm like, holy bleep and bleep and bleep. And we're like, "Oh my God, we had plans. We're going to go to the VFW and blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh my God." I said, "Holy crap, I got to get ready for the show." And it was like Flight of the Bumblebee, just running around my house going, "Oh my dear God, do I need material? What am I going to do?" My wife, God bless her, she is like literally the queen bee of my soul. She just looks at me and she literally almost smacked me in the face. Telling me, "Shut up and stop it." I love my wife dearly. She's like my Xanax, but my spiritual Xanax. And she said, "Just cool it. Just be yourself. It's fine."
That's right.
And so she's like, "You don't have to sell yourself. Just get on the radio. Just blow hot air like you do every other day. If it works out, it's meant to be. If it don't work out, it's fine. Some other opportunity will come up." So she's like, "Get on the radio, have a good time." So basically, Dave and I have been sort of like emailing back and forth, like, "Oh my God, what time do I have to? Do I need material?" And but it was like a schizophrenic meltdown I had today, just trying to get myself together because I wasn't expecting to go on air. And all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh my bleep, this is killing me."
Okay.
But, yeah. So that's how it sort of all came together.
I want to remind everybody that if you're not here with us in the chat room, you can do so no matter where you're listening from around the world. You can come on over to para-x.com and click on the live chat button at the top of the page, and you'll be in this room with all these wonderful people, and you'll be able to interact with them as well as with us. And you can ask questions of our guest by private chatting Jeff, Craig, or myself with the questions, and we'll get them right over to Eric. We do have somebody else that we're going to be bringing on right after we take a break, and her name is Christine. She is an LPN, and we'll be getting some different stories and stuff from her. And what we're going to do is we're going to pretend like that Eric is the host of Emergency, and we're going to be letting him kind of conduct a little bit of the questioning and stuff. So we'll...
Ooh, the pressure builds.
Yeah, we'll see how he actually would be doing the show.
Will I crumble? Will I fold like a piece of paper? Oh dear! I was not expecting that. That is a total curveball. But
I know.
We're trained professionals.
I'm good, ain't I?
Yes, you are.
Henry's good at those curveballs.
And I'm good at forgetting names and forgetting all kinds of other stuff too. So that's nothing
And sometimes
new.
and sometimes asking questions Craig and I are about to ask.
Yeah, sometimes.
Don't you hate that? He kind of steals your thunder, especially if you have like a really, really good question.
Yeah, you said, darn, I was going to ask that.
Damn.
Well, we're up to where we are going to take about a 6-7 minute break, and you can stretch your legs, go get something to drink. We will be back in just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Craig take us out for break. How does that sound?
As always, that sounds great. You're listening to the Paranormal View on the ParaX Radio Network. We will be right back.
Don't go away. The Paranormal View will be right back.
ParaX Radio presents Real Persons of Genius.
Real persons of genius.
Today, we salute you, Mr. and Mrs. ParaX show hosts.
Mr. and Mrs. ParaX show hosts.
Armed with nothing more than a laptop and a microphone, you hit the air to scare the bejesus out of your audience.
What the hell was that noise?
Like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant, you always whet our appetite for more.
I just can't get enough.
Whether it's witches, ghosts, fairies, or Bigfoot, we admire your ability to set aside reality and believe anything anyone tells you.
Seek professional help.
So the next time you're kneeling in front of your 8x10 glossy of Dave and Tom lighting a candle, remember, if it wasn't for you, I might be able to sleep without the lights on.
Mr. and Mrs. ParaX show hosts.
ParaX Radio Network, powered by CBS.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Paranormal View right here on the ParaX Radio Network. We have a great show going tonight. The chat room is just overflowing with lots of great people. And if you're not with us, no matter where you're listening from around the world, please come on over and to para-x.com. Click on the live chat button at the top, and you'll be right there with all these wonderful people. Speaking of around the world, tonight, and I want to thank each and every one of them. Tonight we have listeners in the U.S., in the UK, Australia, and Finland. Thanks for joining with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Yay.
I want you to stay tuned a little bit later because we will have Patty Lynham on doing the Spotlight Report. And right after our show, you can stay tuned and listen to Joe and Tara on Visions Radio. They will be having Lloyd Auerbach. So stay tuned and listen to them right after our show. With that, our guest tonight is Erick Bee. He has applied to be the host on the new show that's going to be airing on Monday nights at 10 o'clock called Emergency Encounters. And it will be dealing with all the people who is in medical, law enforcement, military, EMT, paramedics, doctors, nurses, and etc., who may have had some sort of a paranormal experience while doing their job. And want to welcome back Erick. And we do have another guest that we're going to introduce here in just a second. And by that, I mean we're going to let Erick introduce this guest, just like he would do if he was the host of the show. So, Erick, welcome back. And we'd like you to bring on this other guest. You are still here, right?
Anytime now.
Let me see.
Is he still on the?
Yeah, it shows he's still
again?
on. I bet he's got it muted.
You off collecting honey? Oh God, that used to happen to me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you
Yeah.
now.
There we go. Hey,
Can you hear me
welcome
now?
back.
Eric, don't worry. I used to do that. I would start making all kinds of jokes. I'm like, why are they ignoring me? Because after the break, I'd forgotten to hit unmute.
Well, no kidding. I was talking mad smack about you, and so I wanted to mute the mic, but I had a little bit of a brain cramp. Sorry. I'm totally kidding. I have a very dry, sarcastic sense of humor, so you'd have to.
As do I, as you can tell in the chat room already. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of technologically unsavvy, yet some savvy. Yet I forgot to take the mute off my mic, so smacked me upside the head.
But you did get to hear me though, right?
I'm sorry?
You did hear what I was saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
yes,
well then
that's totally fine. One thing I did want to mention before I bring on the guest for Paraview / Emergency Encounters is Monday is in fact Memorial Day.
Right.
And
My mother's birthday, by the way.
Yeah, and the fact is that freedom is definitely not free, and so the men and women in uniform who literally pledge the ultimate sacrifice of their lives to make sure that I can, and all of us who are listening, can basically wake up and be in a free world. And the fact that we can, hunt ghosts, just so something as simple as that we can do that and not be persecuted for it is a wonderful thing. So if you have the opportunity, please thank a veteran.
True. I know days past, in the early days of the country, things like that, you could be burned at the stakes or lots of other different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so my family is career military, as well as my wife's family's career military. Unfortunately, I did not have the honor to serve due to medical reasons. That's sort of why I went into the sheriff's department. But, thank God, literally, thank God, and God bless all of our troops. And
yes,
let's get on with the show.
Yes. So I'm going to let you introduce the guest.
I will, and thank you all for listening to the Paranormal View on the ParaX radio network. And we're sort of adding in, Emergency Encounters. That's like a great show. I don't have any bumpers or intro, so we're just going to fly with it. like they said, I would sing, but I couldn't carry a tune unless it even had handles, and even then it's
hard.
Optional.
Yeah, I can't do it with a wash tub, so.
Well, there you go. All right, so at least you got one up on me. Okay. Now, my guest tonight is Christine. I have to give full disclosure is that Christine is my mother-in-law, so I'm kind of cheating, but I'm kind of not. Christine, are you there?
Yep.
Wonderful. I need to turn up my volume a little bit so I can hear you. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Oh, thank you for asking me.
Oh, no. Like I said, pleasure's all mine. Thank you for coming in on such a pinch. Anyway, now, this show essentially is discussing paranormal encounters or experiences that people have had, whether or not you're in uniform, in law enforcement, or medical personnel, that paranormal experiences that you've had on the job. And we were actually talking before we went live, and you had a phenomenal story to tell me. So I couldn't not have you on the show. So thank you so much for taking time out and sharing your story with the world. Now, again, you mentioned the fact. Well, let's put the brakes on slightly. What is your work background?
I'm a registered respiratory therapist. I manage life support. And whenever you're watching the doctor shows and they yell, respiratory stat, and the disembodied hand shows up with the ambu bag, that's me. That's
okay.
Respiratory therapist.
That is you.
Disembodied hands with the ambu bag.
Awesome. Okay, so you must probably hear and see some pretty gross stuff, considering you're working with people who can't really breathe that well.
Right.
Okay.
The breathing stops, everything else goes down the tube, too.
Literally and figuratively. Okay.
Yes.
Now, how long have you been a respiratory therapist?
I've been a respiratory therapist for well over 20 years. I'm also an LPN, and I went back to nursing school because there are a lot of other body parts stuck onto the lungs that I didn't know much about.
Okay.
So I went back to nursing school because there was all this extra stuff hanging onto the lungs, and I thought it would be nice if I knew something about it.
Well, that's good to know. If I ever get sick, I like to know that you know a little bit about everything else beyond the lungs. That's good for you. Okay. Now, you obviously had an amazing experience that you're going to share with the listeners tonight. Now, before this experience, have you ever had paranormal activity, for lack of a better word, before this?
Yes, I grew up with it. My background is I'm Native American, and it runs in the family. We all talk to dead people. When I was a small child and I'd be bugging my mother about I didn't have anybody to play with or what should I do, she used to tell me, go conjure up somebody to play with.
Wow, I wish I had that when I was a kid. Now, Christine, if you could do me a big favor and speak up a little bit. It's a little hard to hear you.
Is that any better?
Much better. Thank you so much. Because a few folks in the chat room had mentioned that the sound's really quiet. So hopefully Henry can boost the audio a little bit on your phone. Now, obviously, actually, for sake of the program, what nation are you affiliated with?
I'm Abenaki.
Abenaki, which is based in, if I'm right, it's like Eastern Canada and Northern New England.
Well, before all those people moved in from Europe, we were from the Merrimack River on up into Canada.
Gotcha. All right, so I had it basically reversed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Okay, so now, in terms of your paranormal experience, it seems as though that your religious and cultural background did sort of help bring an understanding to this particular experience.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's get cracking. I'm sure everyone in the chat room wants to know and everyone listening at home wants to know about this story. So let's let it unfold. So let's sort of set the scenario. Where were you?
I was working in a hospital in the vent unit. We had a patient that we had decannulated. That means he had been trached. He'd been on a vent, and we took him off the vent. We took the trach out. He was breathing on his own. Everything was going wonderful. This is about 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, his roommate had gone home that afternoon, and when housekeeping came in, they cleaned up the room, and they took out the suction equipment. At 3 o'clock in the morning, this man threw up and aspirated. That means he sucked down his own vomit into his lungs.
Oh, my
Having
God.
vomit in your lungs can kill you, and if that doesn't kill you, you generally develop what's called an aspiration pneumonia, and that can kind of carry you off quickly.
Okay, I'm saying but I have no idea what you're saying. But okay.
Well, the guy was in deep doodle.
At least he's honest.
We had no suction equipment to suck the vomit out.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to put my drink down. I think this is going to get a little gross, but yeah, I'm intrigued. So please, I'm sorry, continue.
Okay, so we didn't know what to do. Here's the guy vomiting, and he's inhaling it back down. And the suction equipment was quite a ways away. We sent people to get the suction equipment, but it wasn't coming really quickly. We knew if we just let him go that he was probably going to suffocate on his own vomit. So we were kind of in a quandary what to do. There's about 6 to 8 people in the room by now. And this person showed up wearing an olive drab colored uniform that looked like it was made out of wool. And his name tag was ripped a bit. It said ED on the end of it. So it might have been Ned or Ted. And he had like a big purse with him with a big red cross on it. And he was wearing laced-up leggings. And he said, throw the guy in Trendelenburg, which is tipping him basically upside down, and take the big CC syringe that you use with the G-tube and orally suction him. So we tipped the guy's bed upside down. We had his head hanging down, his feet up in the air. We've got 2 aides holding his feet dangling from the bed. The other nursing supervisor and I are down on our knees on the floor, and we're suctioning him with this great big huge syringe that you normally use to do tube feeding with.
Okay.
And we were suctioning out his supper and every other thing that was coming out. Finally, we listened to him. He sounded like he was clear. We stopped vomiting. We put him back the right side up. His oxygen saturation levels bounced right back up to normal. He got color back in his face. His lungs sounded clear. And he sounded like he was going to be okay. So we called for a chest x-ray for in the morning to make sure his lungs are really clear. And as we're cleaning up the room and everything, getting ready to go out, 2 of the aides that were there turned around and asked us, who was the guy in the olive drab uniform? He doesn't work here. Who was he? He was World War I paramedic.
Wow.
Field dress with the helmet.
Get out.
Wow.
And 3 of us there saw him, and I took advice from him. Because he's the one who said, tip him up in Trendelenburgs and suction with the 60 cc syringe.
Oh, okay. I got to hit the brakes here. I need to know more because you just got me intrigued. Now, you're not a paranormal investigator. Obviously, you've seen spirits, basically due to your Native American heritage. Now, when this guy showed up, I mean, what was going through your head? I mean, obviously you have like the way you described it was brilliant with all these people sort of grabbing a limb and doing this and doing that, but then this other person sort of shows up and starts giving you advice. I mean, so were you thinking, okay, I know this person's not here, but I'm going to take their advice anyway?
I knew he was there. I could see him, and I could hear him. Nobody else seemed to be seeing and hearing him.
Okay.
And so I figured, well, we're already in deep doo-doo. Let's go for it.
You might as well. Let's talk to the ghost, right?
Yeah.
Why not, yeah?
And it sounded pretty good what he was saying, so we went with it.
Amen. And so you mentioned afterward that some of the nursing assistants or whomever that were helping you, I'm sorry, I sort of like got your story off track, they knew that that person was not, in fact, there physically, that it was actually someone there in spirit.
Apparently they had told me later on after this, that they followed a religion called Santeria.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Right. And while they were hanging on to this gentleman's feet, they saw the spirit. And the fact that it was warm out that night, and the fact that he was wearing an olive drab wool uniform with a metal helmet gave him a clue that he wasn't one of us.
Yeah.
Just a small clue.
Yeah, that's a great observation.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that I would say that doesn't really take a whole lot of mental math to sort of figure that one out. But so, what was the outcome? Did this person survive?
He did. We did a chest X-ray in the morning. His lungs were totally clear. There was no pneumonia, no signs of aspiration. He was talking. He was perfectly fine and had a wonderful breakfast.
Well,
Wow.
And a wonderful breakfast. That always makes my day after, basically saving my life. I do have to mention, someone in the chat room did in fact give you kudos, saying deep doo-doo was a wonderful technical term. Is that something that they taught you in medical school?
I think that's something you learn on your own when you're standing in it.
Oh, absolutely. There you go. Woo!
all of your co-workers are ready to throw you under the bus. That's a term you learn on your own.
Yeah, no, I'm totally clapping. I think that's wicked cool. That's sort of like in the sheriff's department, we have what they call the "oh bleep" button, which is if you're working in the jail and something basically happens that you need assistance, you basically have what they call like the body alarm, which is what they would call the "oh bleep" button. But of course, that's not the clinical term for it. But that's what you sort of learn on the job. It's the "oh bleep" button. But that's awesome. So actually, Yoga Girl in the chat room actually just took my thunder. I will give her credit for this great question because it was written down. Is the fact that did you actually talk to the patient after this all happened and after he finished his magnificent breakfast? Did you actually tell him A, what happened, and B, did you mention the fact that a ghost saved your life?
No. That would be highly frowned upon because the facility that I worked at, we didn't admit that people died there. So let alone that dead people were returning there would have been frowned upon even more.
Really? So you think you would have been perhaps fired? Or at least demoted or gotten some sort of written disciplinary action?
Probably would have been told that, let's not talk about that again.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It is very brave, the fact that you came forward. I know you in sort of real life outside of radio, so I know that your spiritualist background, your Native American heritage, made you feel much more comfortable having someone that you know is in spirit talking to you. I'm sure other people that were in the room, that's actually an excellent question. Just came to my head. That's awesome. The other voices can be quiet for just a moment. Did you mention it to the other people that were in the room that may have not seen the spirit, that, by the way, I was taking advice from a spirit?
Yes, the head RN that was on that night, he's Cuban, and he has a bit of a spiritualist background, too. So when it was all over, I did tell him who we were taking directions from.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he was happy that there was somebody there who knew what they were doing, because he didn't.
Well, that takes a lot of brass to admit, yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I say, the two aides both come from a very spiritualist background, and they definitely saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else in the room just went along with it.
No, I got you. I mean, the matter of fact is that this person felt it was the time to come forward and help save this life, which is amazing. So thank you, Spirit, whoever that happened to be. From the chat room, a couple of quick questions. Is Research Gal wanted to know whether or not you had ever served in the military.
No, if the patient had ever served in the military.
Right, the patient.
Oh, I should put on my glasses. Sorry. Yes, if the patient ever served in the military.
Yes,
Thank you for the correction.
The patient was a World War II veteran.
Oh, okay. So that may have been a connection.
My husband, who was already deceased by then, was Korean Navy.
Yeah, and I'll toast to him. Basically, my father-in-law, who I've never really met in person, I obviously met him in spirit. Cheers to you, my friend, on Memorial Day.
Yes.
But absolutely, and I'm basically another person. Nyla from the chat room mentioned maybe it was a buddy from World War One. Do you think, Christine, in your opinion,
the paramedic was from World War One, because the description of the uniform, he had the boots with like the leggings that lace up, and it wasn't the tan; it was that olive green wool material, and the helmet looked kind of like a hubcap,
right.
beaten out with
That's
a little flat rim around it.
Right, that's the old
And
World War
all
One.
he had with him for medical equipment was like a canvas bag with a big red cross on it.
Right.
Okay, yeah, and that definitely sounds like World War One. Absolutely. Now, do you think, Christine? Again, this is entirely your opinion. You have much more experience with talking with spirits than probably most people that I've talked to, and probably were listening to this show. Do you think that in spirit, people that are former military that have crossed over have more of a connection to help the living in the military?
I think there's that feeling of band of brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I know my husband, who is deceased, hangs out with his military buddies on the other side. He does not hang out with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's come through and actually mentioned that he prefers to hang out with his buddies and stuff like that rather than spend a lot of time with the family.
Right, and I can say, like I said, you are my mother-in-law, so, and of all the time that I've been involved with your family, I've actually only seen your husband once. And the reason why you don't mention him by name again is sort of like a Native American, what's the word I'm looking for, tradition or a tenet, that you don't mention someone by name?
Well, you're not supposed to bother the dead. The dead have earned their reward by being where they are, in a better place, a productive place, a happy place, and not to be troubled with all the petty drama of the physical world. And if you run around saying their name, you have a tendency to call them back and keep them earthbound and to keep them close to the physical world.
Right.
And so it's just part of our tradition that you really don't say somebody's name after they're dead. You can refer to them, like I say my husband, my children's father.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows who I'm talking about, but I don't run around calling his name a lot because my husband was a type A person. If he couldn't get 8 days' worth of work done in a 7-day week, he wasn't happy.
Oh, yeah, totally the type A.
So he totally deserves his rest and peace and happiness on the other side. And
Absolutely.
I don't want to be a burden to him by calling him back.
No, I'm sure he's looking down on you when he has a free moment. Now, one thing I do have to mention, we are going to take a break at around 9 o'clock, so I want to get this in before the break, has this particular spirit ever appeared to you before this happened, and has he appeared to you since?
He helped me pass my boards. I took one of my sets of boards. I had to take it twice because I flunked one part of it. And this particular person came through and helped me study for my boards.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I had seen him before, so he wasn't a total surprise to me.
I see. Okay. No, that's very interesting.
Yeah, that was, because that was going to be one of the questions that I had was, did you ever have any other paranormal experiences like that?
Oh, yeah. When you're sitting with people who are dying, you can see their loved ones coming for them. And once I was sitting with a lady, and I was just sitting there with her because I have a problem with letting people die by themselves, alone in a strange place. So there used to be a group of us who would take turns sitting with people who were dying, just so that they wouldn't be 100% alone until somebody came from the spirit world to get them. And one night I was sitting with this lady, and she's laying out in the bed, and all of a sudden her spirit just sits upright. And you could see her laying down flat, and you could see the spirit sitting up. And the spirit's looking all around. Then it looks over, and she sees me looking at her, and it must have dawned on her that I could see her. And she went whoop, right back into her body, and she didn't die till the following night.
Wow.
So it's more like momentary astral projection almost.
Yeah, and I think she noticed that I was looking and that I was seeing her. And she said, "Oops, they didn't mention that in the book. I better wait."
I don't think that's anywhere in the nursing manual. I'm pretty sure. Now,
I don't
Christine,
think it's in the spiritual manual either.
you're absolutely right. It probably isn't. Now, Christine, I do have to ask: is in the Native American and the Abenaki culture, your English name, I guess the English translation of your Native American name, is Owl Lady or Owl Woman.
Owl Woman.
Owl Woman. In the Native American tongue, what is your actual Native American name?
It's Kukukuho, but that's Ojibwe, not Abenaki.
Okay.
I just liked when I got the name. Everybody just liked the Ojibwe saying of it better than the Abenaki.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Well, we're going.
You know the story of the owls.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You stole my thunder, Christine. I was going to say before we cut to break, is you are the Owl Woman, and so I know in a Native American tradition, the owl plays an extremely important part in that culture. So, please tell the listeners.
The owl is the last entity to say your name as you're making your transition to the other world. When you hear the owls calling out your name, they're calling for somebody from the other side to come pick you up because it's your time to leave.
So there's sort of like an afterlife limo dispatcher?
Kind of like a paging system.
There you go.
Wow.
You know, I've got one ready to leave on runway 1. Please send pickup.
That's
So
awesome.
essentially, they have a list as to who is next.
I don't know how it works. I just go along with it.
Probably would have looked
And
better
as
in the
long as they're
text.
not calling my name.
No
That's
kidding.
why we're doing what we're doing.
Now,
Maybe we'll figure it out one of these days.
I wonder if it's real
Christine,
foggy.
I just want to jump in real quick. I'm sorry, I'm talking over everybody. It's Christine. Would you be willing? Do you ever talk to other nurses and other people who are in the medical field about that it's okay to talk about these experiences and basically sharing your own?
Oh, we talk about this all the time. If you really get in with the in-crowd in your local hospital, you will find out what parts of the hospital are haunted, who's still there. And the nursing homes are horrendous. They're loaded with people.
I can only imagine,
coming and
yeah.
going. You know, I mean, an awful lot of the ambulances have spiritual ride-alongs. They just like to go for the ride and see what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, Christine, I would have to say, if I actually do get the gig, so to speak, of hosting this no show Emergency Encounters, I would love to have you as a revolving part of the show, because you are amazing.
Well, thank you. Despite the fact you married my daughter, I still like you.
Hey, I have to say, yeah. I mean, most people talk mad smack about their mother-in-law, and no, I have to say that, and I'm not BSing just because I'm on the radio. Is the fact that I have a wonderful relationship with my mother-in-law. So I am truly blessed.
Plus, he knows that I talk to dead people and that they squeal.
And they squeal.
And again, for sake of full disclosure, I live in an entire house filled with mediums. My wife is a medium, and my stepdaughter is a medium. I have no thoughts that are of my own. So,
Great.
but, Christine, thank you so much for being part of this program.
Well, thank you for asking me, and it was a pleasure meeting the other gentleman.
Well, you're very
Thank
welcome
you.
for coming on, too. And
Absolutely.
if you've got some more stories that you would like to talk about, or maybe even some of the people in the chat room may even have questions for you, if you want to hang on till after the break, that would be perfectly all right. So what we're going to do, I guess, is we'll be jumping off and taking a quick break. I'll be doing Patty Lynham's Spotlight Report, which will be coming up here in a few minutes. And Eric, I just want to thank you, everybody in the chat room. Just really loves you and think that you should do the show. So that's not up to us, but they all was putting their vote in.
I know, and as I say, he is watching, meaning Dave. So hopefully Dave is watching, and I'll tell everyone in the chat room the check's in the mail. It will clear, I swear.
They should be allowed to know that their spirit guides and spirit companions are allowed to vote too.
Good.
Thank you, Mom. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, hopefully he's also listening as well as just watching. I mean, that would help.
Oh, I hope so, Dave. I'm praying you're listening.
Well, I've got bad news for you on that. The reason Dave wasn't here with us tonight was because he got lassoed, you might say, into a birthday party, which was a surprise birthday party down the street for a neighbor. So he got roped into having to go to that. That's why he is not here right now.
That's okay. You
But
can always
he
do
will-
like,
he
the
will
sort of
be-
like really nice chew and screw, as they call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But,
Well,
no, that's okay.
I'm sure he'll be getting quite a bit of feedback from the show. Plus, he'll be able to listen to the podcast. So,
Yeah, that's wicked cool.
yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take another break. And this one here might be about 10 minutes or so because Patty's interview lasted a little bit. Yes, it lasted a little bit. So we're going to jump off and do that. And Jeffrey, I think we'll let you take us out. How does that sound?
No problem. Where would you all like to go?
I don't
sorry,
care.
I just, well, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Paranormal View on para-x.com. We'll be right back with our guest Erick Bee of the Hive, and most likely, certainly, hopefully, the new host of the upcoming Para-X show, Emergency Encounters.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Paranormal View right here on the Para-X Radio Network. And thank you, Patty, for the Spotlight Report tonight. We appreciate it. And tonight we have with us Erick Bee. Erick Bee. Erick
Yes.
Bumblebee. Erick Bee. I was laughing at what he was writing. But
Did I take the silly thing off mute this time, I hope?
yeah, you did.
All right, good. I'm a
Appreciate
trained
it.
professional.
Want to welcome you back, and thanks to everybody for listening from around the world. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank all the wonderful people that's here in the chat room tonight. And if you do have questions, now's the time to send them over to Craig, Jeff, or myself so we can ask them to Erick. We appreciate it. Erick is doing a wonderful job, and we also have with us Christine still. So if you have any questions for her, because she seems to be really fascinating too, a lot of great stories.
Oh, absolutely. If I can just actually advocate for her, she actually is a minister of the Spiritualist Church that's local here in Methuen, Massachusetts.
All right.
Yeah, so she's very well versed in training mediums who are sort of like learning how to communicate with the other side.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so
with just kind of like interviewing her and doing that, what do you think the show would be like?
well, the way I'm looking at it is basically the show would sort of go like that. Like it's supposed to be an hour show. So I'm thinking basically 2 guests at 30 minutes each. Because, again, you're talking with people that are not necessarily comfortable talking on the radio.
Right.
So I think basically 2 guests at 30 minutes each should be more than plenty to get the story across. And it basically would be just sort of like a laid-back conversational style, sort of joking. Like I said, it's like 2 people sitting at a bar having a beer, or a cup of coffee if you don't drink, which is fine. And essentially just have like 2 stories, introduce like their background and such. Obviously, I have nothing but respect for people who, work on the front lines, whether you're in the medical field, law enforcement, corrections, or, you're in uniform. Basically giving them kudos and then just sort of saying, hey, the platform is yours. I'm just basically the channel to help you tell the story. And basically then thank them, the fact that they've, had the backbone to basically share their story. And then, obviously ask whatever questions are from the chat room, people text in, email in, or whatever. And I think that would be great for an hour. You can basically, get in 2 really good stories per week.
You probably could, and the way that they would really be fascinating. You'd probably get a huge audience in listening to those.
Oh, absolutely. And if there is one guest, let's say, for instance, Christine, if she has like a lot of stories to tell, then she would just be the guest for the hour,
right.
Easily. You know what I mean? So I sort of determined beforehand. Again, a lot of people are not comfortable talking on radio, even though they're talking into a phone. But just the fact that, oh my God, I'm on like live radio, gets even though like let's say for instance, person in uniform, if you're firing like an M16 and you're in like Iraq, obviously you have to have a lot of backbone to be able to handle that job. But you put a microphone in front of them and say, okay, why don't you tell me about your experiences? The person may be very well versed in being a soldier, but they may not be a great radio guest because it's just completely out of their comfort zone,
Right.
So I guess my goal is just to make them all feel comfortable.
Well, Christine, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Good.
Isn't that unusual? I'm a woman and I'm not butting in. I'm keeping my mouth shut. That doesn't happen
I'm
every day,
staying
does
well
it?
away from that because I don't want to sleep on the couch.
That's
tonight.
right. I ain't touching that one.
With a 50-foot pole, amen. And anyone who's married can definitely attest. Christine, whatever you want, you shall have.
Now, I was you was talking like that you in hospice would be sitting with people who were getting ready to pass over. Did some of them know ahead of time that they were fixing to pass over?
Yes. I think most people know that they're getting ready to go. We had one lady, and she was getting ready to go. The family was all gathered around, and we started the morphine pump on her, to keep her comfortable and help her slide over easy.
Right.
So we started the drip on her, and she had been so exhausted she fell sound asleep, and the family's all sitting around the bed, and she slept till the next day. She woke up, and we've got her in this nice nightie all cleaned up, and her family's sitting there all reverent and respectful. She looks around and says, "What are you a-holes doing here? I'm supposed to be in heaven. You started that drip. You were putting me down like a dog. What am I doing here? Why are you guys in my heaven?" And, she was ripping. She actually pulled the IV line out, jumped over the bed rail, ran down to the nurse's station, ripped everybody inside a new one, and she didn't die for a year and a half later.
Wow.
Christine, I could have you on as a guest like every day for a year, and I would never get bored.
Because
I swear to God.
The poor woman thought that once we started the drip, we were putting her down.
Yeah.
And she was all set to go. And boy, when she woke up and wasn't in her idea of heaven. Ooh.
So, did any of them ever say anything like they were here to take me, or say anything about what they seen when they were crossing, or anything like that?
An awful lot of people, it seems, when you're sitting with them and they're dying, that somebody does come to pick them up. And if you sit there and you're very quiet and you're very still, you can see the outlines of the people coming to stand beside the bed. And the person in the bed will be talking to them. And you can hear them talking to them, and they'll reach up. And shortly after that, they'll just make their transition. And so it's kind of rude to butt in at that point. You're just kind of an observer.
Right.
And it's kind of like a real personal, intimate moment that you don't have a role to play in.
I know.
Actually, if I could quickly just interrupt just for the sake of the show,
Sure.
is that Joe from Visions Magazine Radio definitely wanted you, Christine, to basically talk on near-death experiences that patients have had.
The big thing with near-death experiences is that everybody seems to hear classical music. So there's some connection with the other side in classical music, because we've had people come into the emergency room and they talk to you about how everything goes into slow motion, and they can see the light getting brighter and warmer and more comfortable, and they're getting more relaxed, and they hear the classical music. So I have no idea why the other side loves classical music, but it's just so many people talk to you about hearing the classical music.
Well, interestingly enough, years ago, I was at a metaphysics fair, and a woman was selling CDs of music that she had composed while in tranced state. One was called Inner Harmony. The discs were called Music by Marcy. And I listened to this music, and it was just this wonderful, just sucked you right in kind of music. It was very etheric and very beautiful. She had another one simply called Z, which helped people not only sleep, but help with illicit dream states. but I got one of each. And one of the reasons I got Inner Harmony was she related in her flyer that she had, when she first composed it and brought the CD to a metaphysics fair, a man came up, put on the headset, and listened to it for about a minute, 2 minutes, and his face just drained of blood. And she's thinking, oh my God, I'm giving this guy a heart attack. I don't know what the heck is going on. And he just put the headsets down, walked away, and about 15 minutes later came back and said, I just want you to know I died in the hospital during an operation. I was revived, but I had the near-death experience, and this is the music that played on the other side of the light.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, I've had so many people talk to me about the music, and I was in a car accident once myself. I spun out in the snow, and my engine gave out, and I have power steering and everything, so there wasn't much I could do. And I remember putting my head down on the steering wheel and telling Spirit, you know, I'll either wake up really cold in a few minutes or I'll be with you. And I put my head down on the steering wheel, and the white light, it got very, very bright, and I could hear that classical music, and it was wonderful. And then all of a sudden I woke up and everything was cold and damp and awful, and my car was sideways in a snowbank.
Huh. Well,
So
Craig,
I think they were thinking about taking me, but changed their mind.
Craig, are you still with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Christine, I have a question. One of the big things that we hear as investigators, when people are ready to pass over, they see little children all around their bed. Have you had reports of that?
I've heard with an awful lot of, especially older ladies, that they hear the children playing. And when my husband was dying, he told my daughter one day to go to the door and tell Auntie Kay and Auntie Bertha, who were already in spirit, that he couldn't come out and play right now, that he had a couple of things he had to fix first, and he'd be out to play with them in 3 days. And my husband died within 3 days.
Really? Wow.
But he expressed the desire to go out and play with his sisters. And an awful lot of the older women that I've been with, when they're making their transition, hear the children playing. And they want to go swing, or they want to go play in the field.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is.
If I could also add something in with Christine, I've actually brought her along when I've done paranormal investigating as a medium. And she has come up with amazing hits. And not just hits of she just comes up with names, but literally things that she had no foreknowledge about. And basically came up with, hits that were then backed up by electronic voice phenomena and history. So like her mediumship skill, like for example, we had this one particular house where it was an older house in Haverhill, Massachusetts. And essentially she walked into a room and said, I can see a husband and wife arguing in this room, which was now used as the master bedroom. She says, and she basically described sort of like the era based on the furniture and the antiques that were in that room. So me being, a paranormal investigator, I said, well, great, I'll put a digital voice recorder here on the bed. Let's leave the room and just sort of let it run and see what happens. So sure enough, she's saying, I see a husband and wife arguing. So I go back and I review all the footage. And again, besides, traffic and, the investigator's sounds, you can hear a male voice saying, listen to me, like real angry. And I'm like, holy crap, that's awesome.
As well as knowing that the conversation's just going to go downhill from there.
Yeah, pretty much. You're absolutely right. And the second time, I took her to a home, again, here in Massachusetts, and the house was built, and behind it was actually like a giant, I would just say basically unused forest land, which had since been drawn up into housing plots. And she basically said, I see basically like 3 men and 1 woman. They're arguing. And I see 2 men returning from the woods with 1 woman, and I smell the scent of decaying flesh. And there was an argument that took place. So basically, 3 men went and 2 men came back. No, she had no foreknowledge of this particular location at all. And basically, we didn't catch any EVPs that would back up what she had to say. But when we did the historical research, we found that the woods behind this particular client's house was actually a mafia burying ground that they had used basically to dump their bodies once they were done.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I said, Christine had no foreknowledge of that whatsoever. I took her in completely cold, and she was able to pick that up right away. And basically told me very matter of fact. So yeah, she I'm just amazed at the mediumship skill that she carries.
That is really, really
Oh,
neat.
plus
Yes.
the house in Haverhill with the couple arguing, there was a little secret panel that they found. The people who lived there found that you opened up into one of the, it was like the corner, and you pull on what looked like just the trim at the bottom, and it opened up a little secret panel, and they found old betting slips in there.
Oh, betting, gambling. Okay. For some reason, I heard bedding, and I thought, what?
No, gambling, like
Yeah.
betting forms, numbers forms,
Oh.
in that little secret compartment when they were repainting the room.
I always have these weird streams of consciousness sometimes, and when Eric, you just said something that reminded me of the old joke of the girl and the sociopath walking along together in the woods, and the trees getting thicker, and the girl saying, "Oh, wow, this place is really creeping me out," and the sociopath says, "Yeah, think of how tough it is. I'm walking back alone."
Yeah, absolutely. And the funniest thing is working with the sheriff's department and working in the mental health field. The funniest thing is that the people that you sort of meet that are the creepiest are the ones that are still living, but unfortunately are almost possessed or taken over by mental illness. I fear them more than I do the people that have already crossed over.
Well, Eric, Nyla actually had a question about when you were working with mentally ill people, were there any that you might have suspected might not actually be mentally ill, but they had maybe a spirit attached to them that was causing the problems?
Oh, absolutely. And the funniest thing is that when I worked on the unit, everyone used to call me Doc. And again, I was working down south, and everyone was fascinated. They actually thought I was from Great Britain because I had a Boston accent. Most people there were from the deep south. And they didn't understand that. I'm like, no, I'm from Boston. And so they used to call me Doc because I would actually talk to, at that time they were called inmates, but essentially they were patients with chronic mental illness. They just happened to commit a crime that they're behind bars. And so my nickname on the block, besides being called Boston, was also Doc, because I would actually talk to people like they were human beings as opposed to you are an inmate. And that saved me from more literally life-threatening situations that I can count. But yeah, there were plenty of people that they would call paranoid schizophrenic that would say, I have an implant in my brain and the CIA is, sending messages to me, or, and you sort of look at it as saying, are you truly mentally ill, or are you really paranoid? Like, is this electronic harassment really going on? And you're perfectly sane. You're just kind of driven over the edge due to anxiety for the electronic harassment that you're undergoing. Yeah. Or truly, are you having a paranormal experience? Because again, it's very hard to sort of decipher. Are you hearing spirit? Are you talking with spirit? Or, as they call it, schizophrenia? Are you having what they call the positive symptoms of schizophrenia, of visual and auditory hallucinations? And it's very hard to sort of pull both of them apart. And I guess sort of like my religious background of also being Wiccan, it sort of helped me by saying, I understand that you see someone who's there that everyone else cannot see. And if you talk with them and they tell you things, it's okay. I'm not going to, lock you in what they call the quiet room, but it was nothing but the quiet room. I totally understand. Tell me what they're saying. And if it's bothersome to you, maybe I can help you work through the fact that it's bothering you. Not that I'm going to discount the fact that you're crazy from hearing voices. And as someone pointed out in the chat room, like I always say, just because you're not paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. And I joke a lot by saying, I have the voices in my head, and then sometimes like a new one shows up, just to sort of keep me entertained. But
well, have you seen things like Jesse Ventura demonstrating that there is electronic stuff out there that from a distance can project audio in a tight beam that you could be in a crowd of people, but if it's aimed at one person, only that person will hear the sound?
Absolutely. My wife will attest. She's listening. I know she is in the living room. I spend a lot of time on the internet, and you find out some great stuff on the internet. There is electronic harassment that goes on. Whether the government wants to admit it or not, it does happen. There are people that do have electrodes implanted in their brain as part of an experiment. it happens. Anyone that wants to tell you otherwise is fooling you.
Or they just don't want to believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm sure a lot of the people that I dealt with that were considered paranoid schizophrenic, that saying I'm hearing voices, it's got to be the government or it's aliens, beaming messages out of the TV and into my brain, probably have an electrode planted in their brain. They're hearing those voices. You can just Google it or Bing it, however you want to do it. Don't take my word for it. Just let me sort of be the guide, and you can basically do whatever you need to do to research it. It takes place, absolutely. I'm sure it takes place with, like they call it,
Alarming frequency?
I'm sorry?
It takes place with alarming frequency?
I'm sure it happens more often than we would like to admit, because I'm sure a lot of the people that have been locked up called paranoid schizophrenic, they're basically degraded and labeled as crazy, and therefore whatever they have to say has no merit and no weight because they're crazy. But in fact, a lot of them have incredible insight as to what's going on, but when they're locked in a mental institution because they're crazy, no one cares what they have to say because it's all considered crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
once you get in, you can't get out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Christine, I want to thank you for being on with us tonight.
Thank you very much for asking me.
Great stories and a great guest. And if Erick ends up being the host of Emergency Encounters, I'm quite sure you'll be on there fairly regularly with stories.
Oh, absolutely. It would be my pleasure.
Yes.
I would love it.
And everyone in the chat room was really intrigued by your stories. They thought they were really great. So
Can I just add something before we go? Is that a lot of people truly believe that when you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol or things like that there are lower spirits, lower entities who enjoyed the ways of the flesh themselves and refuse to go on to higher and better things, and that they tend to hang out and consort with people who are drunk or high or drugged up. And that's where you get all these stories about, oh, he was such a nice guy, and all of a sudden he just killed his family.
oh yeah.
So you basically think like the
Because
demon
of
took
the
them over.
association with these lower entities, yes.
A lot of them tries to tell people that too, but they don't want to listen.
Right.
Right.
Well, Christine, I guess I'm thinking you're a shoo-in to be a guest on the Paranormal View to basically talk about that.
Pretty
It's
much.
Very interesting.
Look at that. I'm the broker for talent.
Oh yeah.
I'll put in for my 10% commission.
Okay. It'll be in the mail.
I'm going to say good night, and it was a pleasure talking to all of you. Thank
Yes,
you
I
so
want
much.
to thank you very much for being
Thank you
on,
very much, Christine. It was great talking to you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
By the way, Eric,
Yes, sir.
indicating you're being Wiccan, what tradition do you follow?
I basically follow, again, there's like 8 million different paths. I really don't follow a particular path.
So it's like an eclectic mix of what? I was originally trained in a combination of Celtic and Strigorrhea.
Mine is mostly Celtic/pagan, because I mean, like we said before, there's probably like 100 different sort of substrands of Wiccan. Everything from like goddess worship versus Edwardian, versus purely feminine versus pagan, which is just basically the worship and reverence to nature.
Yeah, I don't think either one of us is going to be a Dianic anytime soon. So
No, you're absolutely right. Yes, exactly. So my sort of upbringing has mostly been sort of there is a reverence for the god and the goddess, and there's also a definite reverence towards nature. I actually have like a pentacle, it tattooed on me. I mean, that's how important it is to me. And so, yeah, it's kind of a weird thing when you talk with people about like what path do you follow. If you ask 100 Wiccans, you'll get 100 different answers.
Oh yeah.
So I guess you're absolutely right. I'm basically an eclectic mix. I'm like a mutt in like the Wiccan community.
Well, I think 99% of witches and/or Wiccans are mutts in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think that there are not a whole lot of pure like Gardnerians or Alexandrians or anything like that anymore.
No, there definitely aren't. I mean, if you basically read like Dion Fortune or Gardner or Edwards or basically all the sort of like the forefathers and foremothers of the Wiccan community, if you're purely pagan or You're right. There really is no pure line. It's basically everyone is basically a mutt. So. But yeah, and besides also being Wiccan, I'm also Episcopalian, so you can sort of imagine that one. And it's funny, my religious upbringing as a child is basically half Southern Baptist, a little bit of Episcopalian, and Jewish. So you can imagine the holidays were like an amazing time for me.
Yeah. You get to celebrate pretty much year-round.
Yeah, pretty much, and which is pretty cool. And so as I grew older, I actually at one time studied to be a deacon in the Episcopal Church because I loved sort of like the pomp and circumstance of the Anglican Church. But just sort of like life, again, throwing you a curveball, I wasn't able to sort of take time out to be, to sort of put the time in for my studies, whatever. And so I sort of drifted from the Episcopalian path. I still go back to the church every so often. Wiccan is sort of like a day-to-day thing. I have nothing but reverence for Mother Nature, and and I'm also a spiritualist as well. So somehow it all sort of works for me to sort of fill that spiritual hole that we all sort of have.
Cool. You're aware that we have at para-x.com we have the radio show Stirring the Cauldron on Thursday nights?
Absolutely. Even though I do actually do my own show on a different network, which I will not mention, absolutely, I am very well versed in all the different shows you have here on Para-X, and yes, I am a fan.
Great.
Oh, mine was great.
And I'm not able to listen. I'm not able to listen to it live because of my work schedule, but I do download a lot of the shows. I'm sure a lot of you know Tom Lynch, aka Paratom.
Right.
Mm-hmm. A good friend of mine. Excellent. He actually lives in the next town over than I do.
Oh. I do want to let you know that we have picked up another country. We now have listeners from Ireland tonight.
Also. Oh, my home country.
Hey, Ireland.
So,
that's awesome. On my father's side, I have relatives in Tyrell as well as in Cork.
Very good.
So hopefully if you're listening, if you're my relatives that I've never met, it's nice to meet you.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And I'll lift if in a few minutes once I get off air. I'll lift a Guinness in your honor.
Ooh, boy!
Now, by the way, Eric, at your website, you list what I guess is your Facebook profile, but it doesn't come up as being valid. Did you take down the profile and just have up the sort of like the little fan page with the like?
Yes, I recently took it off of a fan page, and basically I think I took it off as like a individual page and put it up as a fan page.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And do I have to sort of fix that? Like, where were you linking that it didn't work?
The ParaQuestRadioNetwork.com, pcornthehive.htm, that one?
Yes, that's basically the archive page, and thank you for mentioning my show for what it's worth. No, I like I said, I wasn't coming on the show to promote my own. That really was not the goal, but thank you.
Oh, trust me, believe me, I promo on the webpage report. It'll have links to that and all sorts of stuff. So
Jeff
I
promote everything.
I promote our guests big time.
Yes.
No, that's totally cool. I do appreciate that. I know I'm sort of like at a rival network. We should have like gang warfare or something. But there's so much to discuss in the paranormal, and there's so many different opinions. Like my wife always says, opinions are like blank, and I won't say it because I know it's a family show. Opinions are like blank. Everyone has one.
Right.
There's so much to discuss and so many different points of view in the paranormal that you could have a million different radio shows. Everyone sort of has the same sort of spot at the table.
And if you look around, you probably have close to that many shows.
Oh, absolutely. And some of them are kind of crap, but most of them are. There's a good portion of them that are really good, that have, intellectual content to it and great guests. And you have a lot of them that are just kind of crappy. But, if it makes the person happy to produce the show and whatever, then, God bless them. Who am I to tell them otherwise?
Right.
But yes, I did, and within like the last week, I moved with Erick Bee on Facebook from an individual's page. I'll obviously have to update the link with the IT people over at the other network, quote unquote. And basically,
that ParaQuest Radio Network that we won't mention.
Yeah, that we won't mention. Thank you very much. I do. Again, I appreciate the cheap plug. You didn't have to, but again, thank you. And I've been with them since November, and before that, I was with a different network. Like I said, I've been on the air now for 16 months, thank God, doing my own radio show. It's just awesome that Dave sort of came up. Like I said, he was a guest on my radio show about a year ago, and basically we sort of kept in touch, throughout and whatever. And it was awesome that he, basically I saw his Facebook page and said, Eric, basically, here's a hosting gig. Just send me in an audio sample. What do you think? So I sort of jumped at it. So it's kind of weird. The paranormal community is so broad, yet it's so like a contained,
connected. Yes.
Community,
still,
so to speak. Everyone sort of knows everyone, whether that's a good thing or a really bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, technically, I actually have fans, which is, to me, it just seems very surreal because I'm an actor, and my webpage, jeffgould.net, has reports of different features I've worked on and commercials, like my Super Bowl commercial and all.
Yes.
Yeah. And there are people in the paranormal community who know and like me with the idea that I'm this big celebrity, and I point out, most of my principal work has been commercials, and that my TV and movie work has been like featured background technically, and my response usually gets, their response usually is, yeah, but you heard my name is Earl 4 times. Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, I'm really visible, and my name is Earl, and such like that. And I should be very visible in Tom Hanks's film Larry Crown coming out in a couple of weeks, and you'll spot me in Transformers 3 coming up.
Oh, very good. Good for you.
Yeah. When they have a flashback, or it may not be flashback, it may be, it'll be, previously on Transformer. I don't know how they're going to do it. But in 1969, they recreate the Apollo moon landing. And during a scene where Nixon is calling the astronauts to congratulate them, they pan from the press corps to the desk in the Oval Office, and the front row of reporters on their knees, I'm like the second from the camera. I'm in a blue suit and big horn glasses and such. So I should be pretty easy to see, even though I'm in 3D.
Even though you're in 3D.
Wow. Good for you. Went from 2D to 3D.
Well, I've been in 3D before. I was in Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton. So.
Oh, very good for you. That's I did Google everyone before I came on the show. That's wicked cool. One thing I do have to say is, in terms of being a paranormal investigator, I am what I call a healthy skeptic. Basically,
you don't want to be sickly skeptic, because then you just have to be eating chicken soup all the time. And
well, yeah, when you mention that you're a skeptic, everyone thinks that you're basically a bleep, and you can sort of fill in the blank as to what you want to call it, but it's a very derogatory term that it's like no matter what we present to you as evidence, you're going to basically say it's not ghosts. And I say no. I've had incredible experiences myself. It's just that I set the bar in terms of evidence very, very high.
Very high, right. You don't believe every little piece of evidence that comes along where they're sitting there, oh, listen to what this says, and it's just a bunch of gobbledygook, and they're telling you what in the world it says.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
To me, it's got to be a Class A before I even attempt to say, yeah, that's an EVP.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely on the same wavelength, and I get sort of like a reputation of being a complete, again, bleep. You can sort of fill in the blank, because people like exactly what you said. They figure because I'm on a TV show, or because I have a lot of letters after my name, that somehow I know more than you, and they'll say, this is a Class A EVP because I said so, and I listen to it, and I'm like, at best, I'm thinking that's Class C. And they're like, no, it's almost like you told them the Easter Bunny didn't exist. It's like, it's basically, it's white noise. What exactly are you hearing? Well, it basically says, I'm the greatest paranormal investigator that has ever lived. Can't you hear that? It's like, no. And, and again, and also with paranormal investigators, I don't mean to pick on people that are on TV shows, but unfortunately they are basically, the main target. But and just in general, what you see on YouTube that gets uploaded is like they'll use all these sort of gadgets and crap that have basically been labeled as for your entertainment only, and they'll say, look at this amazing piece of footage we got. We went to like Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Here it is, blah blah blah. So and so asking this particular device to spit out a word, and basically it said blood. Therefore, we're concluding that it's a spirit saying the word blood because it wanted to portray the fact that it was bloody when it died. I'm like, what paranormal crack are you smoking?
Yeah.
And basically, again, I look at it and say, okay, let's discuss in scientific terms how that particular device works, and how you concluded that that's a spirit basically telling you blood. And after I get done explaining to them and asking them questions as to how they concluded that this little gadget sort of spit out a word, they look at me like, wow, you are a bleep. and they sort of like scowl and they have this look on their face and they sort of walk away. It's like, I'm just simply just giving you some facts. I'm sorry that it rained on your paranormal parade, but I do get a bit of a reputation of being a sort of paranormal bleep, and you can sort of fill in your blank, because I look at it as, again, being a healthy skeptic. When I investigate or if I have guests on the show, I say, well, I just don't take your evidence at face value.
Well, is it possible, as opposed to being calling yourself a skeptic, that you call yourself objective?
Absolutely. I'm totally objective.
Because, I consider myself objective. I have people saying, how can you walk through a dark area like that and not be afraid? I'm like, because nothing's happened yet.
Right.
And usually by the time something does happen, I'm busy ruling out what it might be physically before I realize, okay, I've ruled out everything it could be.
Oh, absolutely. I'm like paranormal Bane. When I sort of go on tours with other groups, they sort of look at me like, oh my God, this guy will not shut up. And I look at it like, no, I'm just simply saying, like, what you're hearing is probably A, natural phenomena that you're misinterpreting as paranormal, or B, you're basically putting your full faith into this toy that is giving you a result that you're interpreting as paranormal. It's like, cut the crap. It's like, why don't you just, just look at it as it's a toy. You know what I mean? Like when I started ghost hunting, it was a VHS camera, an old school magnetic tape recorder, and an old school 35 millimeter camera. Back in the day, we even used 110 film. That sort of shows my age, and that was it. You know what I mean? Right. And so today, unfortunately, you can sort of get spoiled with all the garbage that gets brought into. And like I said, with Christine being a medium, she doesn't need all this crap and toys and stuff. Like you went to like Best Buy and just went on a field day to communicate with spirits. So I sort of become again the sort of the jerk, because I'm just like objective saying, okay, that particular device that's talking to the radio just spit out something that's basically white noise, but you're saying that it's answering the question that you just had, so therefore you think you're talking with spirits, or you're talking to a flashlight that's turning on and off. It's like, what crack are you smoking? But I guess in terms of the show coming up with the emergency encounters, my role is not to debunk their story. My role is simply to provide the platform for them to explain and tell their story,
right. Mm-hmm.
and to get it out there and basically saying, I believe you. Let me help you tell that story the best it can be told.
Right.
So I don't want anyone out there who's listening thinking, oh my God, Erick's going to get them on the air and basically just tear their story apart, make them look like a jerk. That's not my role. On my other show, that's what I do. On this particular show, I'm the storyteller. I'm sort of like your humble host. I have a great guest with a great story, so just sit back. I will basically facilitate and allow this person to tell you a fantastic story.
And it should be a great show. And we're talking about the new show that's going to be on Monday nights right here on parax.com. And
Absolutely.
I have a question for Eric.
Okay.
Oh, dear God. Okay, here we go. Yep. I'm just kidding.
It's just a small. Now, for those of us who work second shift, are you planning on doing a podcast so we can listen to it at a later time?
Absolutely. I thought that was sort of how it worked. I as far as I know, I use Sam's software. That's what I have, or Shoutcast, or whatever. So essentially, as far as my understanding, like I said, I literally just found out about this like this morning. My understanding is, anyway, I'll be doing a live show at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, broadcasting it live on ParaX, and then it would be available somewhere for archive. Because, again, like I don't have time, not just like any show on any network, to listen to it live. I listen to almost every podcast on archive and put it on my iPod. And so, essentially, it'll be available for archive at some point for you then to listen on your iPod, your computer, or whatever at a later date.
Great.
So, yeah, so I'm thinking there's going to be a website somewhere, and I'm thinking an email address, or I also have a business cell phone and a website at some point to basically, if you want to interact and ask a question, then it'll be available then.
You'll have to email me the new link to that so I can update that, and I can put it on my paranormal links page on my website and such like that, because like I say, I promote friends and guests and stuff like that there.
Yeah, that would totally rock. Like I said, everyone who's listening and everyone that's in the chat room, tell Dave, pick me. like I was joking at the beginning. It's sort of like paranormal, like American Idol or Paranormal Dancing with the Stars or something.
Yep, something like that. Yeah.
Dancing with the Ghosts.
Yes, I gave up a night at the VFW singing really bad karaoke and doing some 12-ounce curls to be here.
Just to be here.
So please pick me. I mean, the fact that, yeah, I think I'm halfway decent on the radio. I do have the gift of gab because I do it all day in work anyway. But we had a great show, and I think basically what you hear now is exactly what the show is going to be like on Monday nights.
Mm-hmm.
So please pick me. Just tell Dave, pick Eric, please.
Well, Eric, we want to thank you for being with us tonight and a chance to come on and talk about emergency encounters. As I said, it'll be on Monday nights at 10 o'clock right here on the ParaX.com radio network. And Eric is up in the running, I should say, to be the host of that particular show. So we give him great kudos. He's done a great job tonight and want to thank you for that.
Yes, excellent job, Eric.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine for being part of your show. Hopefully I didn't, run down the ratings or have people like sort of scrambling like rats. You know?
You've done good. Our
Thank you.
time is running right on out. So what I want to do is I do want you to stay on after we get off, and we'll chat with you for a minute after. We're
Absolutely,
off.
I'd be happy to.
And if you've got any websites right now that you want to give out for any information that you might have, email addresses or whatever, do that right now.
Absolutely. Actually, if you want to go to my Facebook page, it's Erick Beehive, E-R-I-C-K, Beehive at Facebook. You could even call me on my business cell. It's 978B BEE 1271. You can also email me at erickbeehive@gmail.com, ERICK beehive@gmail.com.
All right, there you go. Craig,
Do you actually have your hair done that way? Oh, wait. No.
No, I wish I could have the beehive stripe, but like I said, corporate America, basically, it's shirt tie and a suit jacket. It wouldn't really fly, you know?
Right. So, Craig, you got any email addresses you want thrown out, or websites or anything?
Yeah, there was a better chance of the world ending last Saturday than my website ever getting done. So no, I'll pass.
Well, you can get a hold of
I'm on
us.
Facebook. You can get a hold of me on Facebook.
On Facebook. Craig's on Facebook.
Absolutely.
You can also go to theparanormalviewfans@gmail.com and send us emails right through there. Or you can go to theparanormalview.com and you can read all about the hosts right here on the Paranormal View. Jeff,
listen to.
I've given you a minute now, a minute and a half, so you can give out all your websites.
Exactly. My own website is jeffgould.net, GEOFFGOULD.net. And there, if you type /2011PNV.htm, you'll go to my own Paranormal View page, which not only has the embedded podcasts of the shows this year, as well as links to the respective reports. So Eric will have his own page regarding tonight's show. Also, if you go to my page at my site, jeffgould.net /paranormal.htm, and you can all sorts of links to true paranormal experiences I've had and friends have had and such like that. And of course, I'm on Facebook, Facebook /Jeffrey.Gould, GEOFFREY.Gould. And hooray, I guess there you go.
And we also do have a fan site on Facebook, and that is the Paranormal View. So you can go there and like that page and learn all kinds of great stuff coming up with that. We appreciate it. Our time is just run right on down. I do want to take time again to thank everybody here listening tonight and from around the world. Appreciate each and every one of you, because without you, we would not have a show. And
It'd be really quiet.
Next week, we have coming up as our guest Don Shy, the West Coast parapublicist. So do tune in for that. She should have a whole lot of good stuff to talk about from out on the West Coast. Do that. Stay tuned for Joe and Tara on Visions Radio right after our show. And with that, we are fixing to jump right off of here. And this is Henry Foister,
Craig Rupp,
Jeffrey Gould.
and we want to say good night to everybody. Have a safe and great Memorial Day weekend.
We're leaving